A crisis is a time of intense difficulty, trouble, or even danger. And there are many different types of crises. Some are real, some are exaggerated, some are of our own making, some are thrust upon us, some are business, some are personal. It doesn't matter what type of crisis you encounter or how it was thrust upon us. What matters is how you deal with the crisis. Now, there are some common steps, some common ways that you can handle a crisis. And I'm going to tell you how to handle a crisis next here on Over 50 TV. Welcome back to Over 50 TV, where we provide business and career advice to people over 50. My name is Lou Reyes, I'm your host. And today we're talking about how to deal with a crisis. And one of the things that I've seen many times in my business career, and maybe even I've done this myself, is when a crisis happens or you've got a big problem that falls into your lap, you tend to ignore it or you pretend that it just doesn't exist and you hope it goes away, and it never does. I can tell you that it never goes away. What you got to do is just face it head on, tackle it, deal with it. If you don't deal with it, it's just going to linger. And yeah, maybe you can postpone it by ignoring it, but you know what? You're only postponing the inevitable. You've got to deal with a crisis, got to deal with a problem head on. Don't ignore it. Here's another tip when it comes to dealing with a crisis. Don't deal with a crisis when you're angry. Don't deal with a crisis when you're upset. If you are upset and if you're angry, this something happened and you just don't understand why it happened. Maybe, you're going to take it personally and then you're going to be upset, you're going to be angry. But that's the last thing you want to do when it comes to dealing with a crisis. You don't want to have that emotion. You want to be calm. You want to be understanding. So if you are angry, take a long walk. If you're angry, kick a chair. If you're angry, punch a wall. Just, protect your hands, of course. But don't deal with a crisis when you're angry. Whenever I've had a big problem in my life and I was angry or I was upset and I'm thinking, why did this happen to me? Or I've seen business people that I've worked with, they get angry or they're upset or they'll call me and they're screaming on the phone. They're saying, Lou, what am I going to do? How am I going to deal with this? The first thing I say is, calm down. I take my voice down a couple notches, calm down. Just relax, take a deep breath, and let's talk this through. But you've got to deal with a crisis in a calm manner. Get rid of the emotions. When you're angry and your employees see you like that, or your friends or your family see that you're angry that because this situation happened, or you take it personally, you think it happened to you, when they see it, they're going to get upset. They're going to get emotional. They're going to worry about you. They're going to worry about the situation. Always be calm. Be a leader. Be a leader to show your friends you're a leader, but show yourself that you can handle this. Be calm. Like I said, go away, come back, and deal with it head on. Whenever you encounter a crisis, the best way to resolve it is to be patient, to take your time, to look at all the angles, to analyze it, and to look and see, how did this crisis occur? What made it happen? How did it fall in my lap? How did it slam into my head? Take your time when you're looking at a crisis and you're trying to resolve it. Too many of us want to snap our fingers. We think we can just push through, rush it, it's going to go away. But I guarantee you, if you do rush it, if you don't take your time and solve it the right way, it's going to come back again. One of the steps that you must take whenever you're going to deal with a crisis is you got to come up with a plan. It could be a 1-paragraph plan, it could be a 10-pager, it could be basically a book, but whatever it is, you want to come up with a plan. And sometimes coming up with a plan means talking to some other people that you respect, people that have maybe been through the wars, someone who knows, the kind of situation you're in and has had to deal with that at some point in their career and some point in their life. But come up with a plan, something that you can follow, and then that helps you also to measure how you're coming up with or how you're getting through the problem that you have. But a plan is one of the key steps that I believe that everyone needs to take whenever they have a crisis situation, whether it's business or personal. When you're resolving a crisis situation, you want to do it methodically. You want to take your time and you want to do it step by step and you want to follow your plan. It's no different than building a house where you lay your foundation, you put in your floors, you put in your walls, you top it off with a roof, you measure, you cut, you do everything right so that you've got a solid structure. It's exactly how you want to resolve any kind of a crisis or a problem. Do it methodically, take your time, do it step by step so that you don't have the crisis occurring again or you don't have another problem. So I want to close this video by reminding you of something that's important, and that is it's not the end of the world. We face crisis all the time. We face serious problems all of the time. But very rarely is that problem earth-shattering. Very rarely does it mean the end of our life. What it means is it was just a problem that we had. It's a problem that we faced. It's a problem that we resolved. We'll look back at this years later, and even 6 months later or a month later, and say, boy, that was something that I dealt with. It's something that I fixed, and I'm glad it's over. But don't think that because you're in a crisis situation or you're faced with a serious problem that it's the end of the world. I've had situations in my lifetime, a crisis or two, where when it occurred, especially early in my career, when that crisis arose or the problem, I looked at it and I thought, boy, this is it. It's over. I don't know what I'm going to do. But what I found every single time is that a week later, a month later, a year later, I look back at it and I thought, it's over. I fixed it. I'm on to the next thing. And that's how you have to look at every crisis. You have to understand that when you're faced with a crisis, there is an end. It's not going to linger if you fix it properly. But know that it's not the end of the world. This is Lou Reyes with Over 50 TV, where we provide business and career advice to people over 50. Thank you.